A growing body of evidence has confirmed that the foods we eat can influence our vulnerability to cancer, not just in terms of prevention, but in how the disease progresses once diagnosed. While that knowledge empowers people to make better choices, it also raises complicated questions about which foods may inadvertently be contributing to cancer risk. A new study has now brought linoleic acid, an omega-6 fatty acid commonly found in cooking oils, into sharp focus by identifying a molecular mechanism through which it may directly fuel the growth of one of the most aggressive forms of breast cancer. This discovery demands attention, but it also calls for caution and nuance, particularly because it challenges earlier understandings of this fat and its role in human health. Linoleic acid is one of the most prevalent fatty acids in the modern diet. It's found in large quantities in commonly used oils like soybean, corn, and sunflower oil. It's classified as essential, meaning the body can't produce it and must obtain it from food. In reasonable amounts, linoleic acid is known to support normal cellular functions and maintain the structural integrity of cell membranes. However, today's diets, often loaded with ultra-processed foods and high in seed oil content, deliver this fat in excess, sometimes at levels that far exceed what the body actually needs. This overconsumption is now being reconsidered, particularly in light of its potential role in chronic inflammation and, more concerningly, cancer progression. The new research out of Weill Cornell Medicine in New York presents compelling, if unsettling, data. The study found that linoleic acid can bind to a protein called FABP5, which is found in high concentrations in triple-negative breast cancer cells. This binding activates the mTORC1 pathway, a central driver of cell growth and metabolism, and leads to accelerated tumor development, at least in preclinical models. In mice fed a high linoleic acid diet, tumors grew larger and more aggressively. Furthermore, in human samples, higher levels of linoleic acid and FABP5 were detected in triple-negative breast cancer patients, reinforcing the relevance of the findings. This type of breast cancer accounts for about 15% of all cases, and while that may seem like a minority, the sheer prevalence of breast cancer means this affects a large population of women. Triple-negative tumors are notoriously difficult to treat, lacking the hormonal receptors that make other types of breast cancer more responsive to therapy. Any environmental or dietary factor that contributes to their growth is, therefore, of serious concern. What's particularly troubling is that these findings conflict with earlier research. For years, epidemiological studies have failed to find a strong link between linoleic acid intake and breast cancer risk in the general population. In fact, a major meta-analysis in 2023, covering more than 350,000 women, found no statistically significant association. Some studies even suggested a protective effect. But the key difference here is granularity. This latest research zooms in on a specific cancer subtype and identifies a direct biochemical pathway. That kind of specificity is rare and makes a strong case for reevaluating how we view dietary fats in relation to individual cancer risks. Still, the study doesn't mean that cooking oils or linoleic acid should suddenly be labeled carcinogenic. The researchers are not suggesting that everyone who consumes sunflower or soybean oil is increasing their cancer risk. Rather, the implication is that for certain individuals, especially those genetically predisposed to triple-negative breast cancer or with elevated FABP5 expression, the excess consumption of linoleic acid could be more harmful than previously recognized. This is a subtle but important distinction, one that public health messages and media coverage often fail to make, leading to either underreaction or unnecessary fear. The larger issue lies in the imbalance of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in the modern diet. Omega-3s, which are found in fatty fish, flax seeds, and walnuts, have anti-inflammatory properties and are often underconsumed. The excessive ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, sometimes as high as 20:1 in Western diets, has long been linked to inflammatory conditions. Chronic inflammation, in turn, is a known driver of several diseases, including many cancers. While linoleic acid itself may not be inherently harmful, its disproportionate presence in processed foods and its potential to disrupt inflammatory balance could be part of a much larger and more insidious problem. This is why moderation and context matter. Swapping out high linoleic oils for alternatives like olive oil, which is rich in monounsaturated fats and has a lower omega-6 content, may be a prudent choice, especially for those concerned about inflammation or cancer risk. But blanket avoidance of all seed oils is not the answer either. Linoleic acid does have physiological benefits, and eliminating it entirely would create nutritional deficiencies. The solution lies not in fear-based exclusion, but in strategic reduction and thoughtful replacement within the overall diet. We also can't ignore the bigger picture. Diet is just one factor in cancer development. Genetics, environmental toxins, physical activity, and stress all play critical roles. Even if linoleic acid is confirmed to influence tumor growth in certain individuals, it's likely only one piece of a complex and multifactorial puzzle. That doesn't mean it should be ignored, but it does mean we must be careful not to let one study distort our understanding of a broader issue. For now, the takeaway is both cautionary and instructive. This new research reinforces the need to reconsider our dependence on highly processed, oil-rich foods, not out of panic, but out of prudence. It adds weight to calls for more balanced fat intake, greater diversity in cooking oils, and increased consumption of anti-inflammatory nutrients. And for researchers, it underscores the importance of studying cancer not just by organ or stage, but by subtype, cellular profile, and molecular behavior. We are still far from definitive answers, but the direction is clear. Overconsumption of certain fats, especially when combined with a sedentary lifestyle and a diet lacking in protective foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, may quietly and steadily tilt the balance toward disease. That's not an outcome anyone wants. With better awareness and more nuanced guidance, we can adjust course, not through fear, but through informed, science-based decisions.